right. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, pleasure to have everyone here joining us today. Really excited for our topic of discussion. We're going to be joined by Synesis One. We've got Josh, the co-founder, coming to join us today. So we're just going to give everyone a few minutes to come in here, and we'll get started. So appreciate your patience, and it's going to be a good one. So happy to have you. All right. Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to
How's
see
your day
you
going
too.
so far?
It's been good. It's been rather busy, but good so far.
Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Actually, I never asked you earlier, but will it just be yourself joining us today, or did you have anyone else from the team who was going to join us as well?
Yeah, no, it's just going to be me because a lot of us are actually flying out to Lisbon today, so not everyone is available.
Gotcha. Excellent. Well, hey, that sounds like a very strategic move to be made by the team. Lots going down in Lisbon right now.
Yeah.
Actually, while we're waiting for a couple more people to show up, I was looking to chat about that real quick. We've got Marco here. Also, he's on the marketing team from Unique.vc. So Marco, thank you as well for joining us. We're two of the team members who weren't able to make it to Lisbon today, but wow, sounds like some things are going down today. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Trey.
Hey, Marco. Really appreciate you joining us today, my friend, and thanks for getting the space going here.
Thanks, Trey. I'm getting some problem with my headphones, but other than that, I can hear you loud and clear on my phone. So all good.
Perfect. So yeah, Josh, what are some of the big highlights that your team's looking forward to this year over in Lisbon?
Yeah, it's our second year attending. I think it's the second year ever for Breakpoint. So we got our grant money from Solana Foundation a few months ago, and so we were very looking forward to meeting some of the key guys from Solana Foundation, because we have been selected by Solana Foundation to be included in the one of the dApps in the upcoming Solana Saga phone. So just kind of go there and just kind of map out the whole execution plan with the Solana mobile stack and Solana Saga phone team. We're going to be also on stage. So we have another division that we are spinning off, and it's more focused on games. So one of my co-founders is going to be on stage talking about this opportunity. And then we also have a booth, so some of the people can stop by and take a look at our product and meet with us. So we're not doing anything big social. Like most of us at Synesis, we're mostly like engineers and pretty serious business guys. So we're not hosting any kind of extravagant like a NFT. Sort of music festival style, like the shows and what have you, or even cocktails. But just looking forward to connect with a few, people that we know, and our investors and our advisors. Just kind of routine, meet and greet and say hello, sort of things.
Love it. Yeah, no, that sounds pretty awesome. I mean, first and foremost, it sounds like the major takeaway from events like this are engagement with the project and light being shone onto the work that projects are doing. But networking is probably second up there. Being able to connect with different projects, being able to share ideas, and get that synergy going amongst some of the top projects in the space. I'm really happy for you guys that your presence will be known there, and you'll get to take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's actually my first time, so I don't know what to expect. I've spent so much time in Europe, like last 2 years, that like I'm really sort of more. My heart belongs to home, being in North America. But let's see how it goes. I think Lisbon sounds like a great town. The Solana has been very loyal to the city, so maybe we could grab some nice food, beer, wine, what have you. I think that would be really nice too. We're so much of like Solana right now. There are just a lot of things happening, and so many new developments and new exciting announcements. So just being there in person to kind of soak in everything. I think that alone would be worth the time and effort.
Oh, 100%. I feel like this is a pivotal moment for Solana, the blockchain, especially considering the overall kind of market exposure right now, being stuck in the middle of a bear market. I really is kind of tangenting off to a different topic of conversation here, but I'll just kind of dip my toes in it. But the one thing that I've been realizing as a new person to this space here is that one of the benefits of the bear market is that just a lot of these really strong project names have really been, they've had the opportunity to shine. Not every project can survive in the environment like this. So I think that really just, in my mind, I think that really makes this particular, Hacker Housing Breakpoint, this event, Solana-based event in Lisbon, it's gonna be pretty remarkable. Just when it comes to like the caliber of projects that will be coming together, these are very strong and tenacious projects and teams that are here just to develop and really put their heart and soul and work hard during these wild times. So, and I mean, Portugal. I've never been to Portugal myself, but it looks and sounds absolutely beautiful. So, what an opportunity that is as well.
Yeah. I think it's going to be really, really worthwhile.
Excellent, Josh. Excellent. Okay, so let's. I'm gonna just kind of give us another few minutes to see if anyone else decides to show up here. I'm just gonna take a moment and put out a couple more messages to different communities here, and if it works with you, I'm thinking let's get started here in maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to kind of feel potential silence, while you're doing your task, is that the more I think about how to spend next couple months, possibly more than a year in this crypto winter, is kind of executing like this idea of like how not to die, because people make it sound so easy to survive, and somehow the survival is just sort of kind of natural thing, and all you need to do is just kind of be there, and things will fall into right places. Not really. So like the more I think about the whole economic situation right now, we're in for I think really, really painful time in 2023, and this has been almost like a kind of kicked down the road for many, many years. Now we're having to pay for this, and so we are potentially looking at like very prolonged, very dark time, and it's not even anything that crypto can do about it. Like, no one can stop Colin Powell to do what he needs to do, because the whole thing is very politically driven at this point. It's not even rational economic thinking, kind of drives the market, but it's the politicians with all this populist agenda. They're the ones who's really feeding the mob with too much money, too much liquidity, what have you. Now we have to pay for this. So from a project's point of view, we have to be super duper careful about how we deploy our time, energy, and our capital. And then when we say we're building, also this building needs to be done right, because if you build wrong things, then you could really die quickly too. So it just keeps us way more focused on what matters. And then all these bullshit projects who got funded or who took money from all these people, this is time where their true color will come out. And these founders who took money, and then they really should be using that capital to take risk. That means you spend the money on development that may not get you where you need to go, but you have to do it because that was the mandate. And I do see some of the NFT projects, that's not how things are being done, because founders sort of there's so many, they got a lot of leeways to kind of diverge their capital spending in some other ways. So I think that the difficult time actually has just begun. this is not the end of or not even middle, but I think we're barely scratching the surface. And I think it's about now where the Colin Powell, he's I don't know what the actual rate hike has been. Is it like a 75 PPS now, or
I've heard rumors about it'll either be 75 or 50.
50?
I'm not sure. I'm looking at the overall market chart right now, and there's definitely a huge amount of volume that just came in at well, it's 11 o'clock my time, so he must just be starting to speak at the moment, or the numbers must have just been released.
Yeah,
I'll see
market is
what we're
somewhat,
chatting.
yeah, it's somewhat trending up. So that means, yeah, I don't know. I mean, 75 was expected. So um, let's see. But I just think that, like, he's not going to stop. He has to continue to raise interest rate.
Completely agree.
So that means at some point, people are going to say, oh my gosh, my car payment just doubled. My mortgage payment is now 60% higher, and I can't afford my student loan anymore. And stuff like this will happen left and right. And so let's see. Like I think a lot of projects, they're about to get chopped up really badly starting in 2023. So let's see who survives.
I just got to start off by saying I completely agree with your sentiment here, pertaining to just the overall pain in the market that we're all about to face. I think this is just the beginning. I know we've experienced massive dips both in crypto and kind of in the overall market. But unfortunately, well, this is just purely my humble opinion, not anywhere near financial advice. But I fear that this is kind of just the beginning as well.
Yeah.
And I think the point you bring up about as well of accountability for project founders. I think if we are indeed correct, and the market will be facing a lot more pain moving forward. Inflation, if it continues and when it continues to rise, I think there'll be a lot less liquidity available that people will want to put into the market for buying and investing into NFT projects. And I think forcibly these projects are going to be held accountable for the previous decisions and behaviors.
Yeah.
So,
I think, yeah. And also, like, I just want to say that I've been in tech venture for a while, and it takes a lot. Oh, do you want to say anything?
Nope, sorry. I'm just validating your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Before we get into the main topic, I just want to say, I have a tremendous amount of respect for founders who can spend the money that they raise and continue to put that money into technology development, which is not, by the way, easy thing to do. It takes a lot of courage because you have to really believe in what you're building. Often the problem is, like, as an entrepreneur, you had an idea and you got funding and you're building it, but as you go, you just find so many difficulties that you start to compromise, and then the money spent where it's supposed to be spent gets sort of diverted to different things, like the marketing or PR or stuff, before the whole product is ready. So there are a few really awesome founders who just have the balls to put the money where their mouth is and just keep chewing that shit. I mean, like, it's really like those are the ones, at some point they're gonna make it, like, no matter what. And then, like, 90% of the people who just don't have the courage, they're just gonna, like, continue to raise money and then waste money, and they never really get to where they need to go. So, yeah.
I love that. I appreciate you saying that, and I completely agree. I think it takes a tremendous amount of bravery and courage to stick to your values and to not compromise on the work that you're doing and the passion that you're trying to put into it. And the one thing as well that I think that has been changing is that I feel like investors are able to see that and have been seeing that. And in my opinion as well, I don't think it's quite where it needs to be yet, but I do feel like that landscape is starting to shift. And that would be extremely encouraging if it continues to go that way. So But in saying all that, though, I think this is an excellent segue to introduce yourself and introduce your project, because from all the research that I've been doing, I certainly must say that when it comes to founders putting their heart and soul into a project and not compromising, everything I've seen has led me to believe that that is what exactly you guys are doing. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of get things going here. My name is Travis, everyone. I'm the community manager with Unique.vc and UNQ Universe. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with Josh, who's one of the co-founders of Synesis One. Josh, absolute pleasure to have you here, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for the invite, and really happy to be here to talk about myself and also our project. So maybe I could just kind of start with my background and then maybe tell you guys a little bit about Synesis One. So
That'd be fantastic.
yeah, so that I'm I'm American with the U.S. passport, but I was born in Korea, so I am one of those who sort of immigrated, a person with a dual background. And I got into crypto back in 2017. So I have a really good friend, whose name's Brock Pierce, who created EOS and also who created Tether. And he and I, sort of comes from the same gaming background back in the old days, and he's been like chasing me to, hey Josh, you got to drop everything and come to crypto because this is where the best and the most crazy innovations are happening. I didn't really listen to him back in 2013, and then after a couple of years, and I seeing how Brock or EOS just took off like fireworks, I said, I maybe I should. So that's how I got into crypto 2017. So that was at the height of that bubble, and then which popped in 2018. So then that 2018, 19, and the early 2020 were probably the longest crypto winter ever, during which time like DeFi blossomed and I experienced the whole thing. So during past a couple of years, I've done a few things. Prior to 2017, I had my own venture fund, so I was very, I understood venture capital really well, but in my heart, I'm more of a builder. So I ended up backing and building a few projects, list a couple tokens, and I learned the rope of like how to create and launch and manage crypto projects. So Synesis One was and is my latest project. The whole idea was actually conceived back in 2018. So I started this AI company called Mind AI, and it's a company based out of South Korea. It's considered among the best conversational AI technology out of Asia. And it was funded, venture backed, and we were building the whole franchise. And once we got to a certain point, we as an AI company realized that the name of the game is actually data. And without quality data, you're basically nothing. And if you look at the whole landscape of data business, it's really controlled by a few very, very gigantic names like Baidu, Tencent, IBM, but better yet, like Google and Facebook and Apple and so on. And without those guys releasing data to the much smaller startups, but pretty significant in their technology, these up and coming the AI startups just have no chance of even be able to develop their technology because there's no real data. So, and we were paying millions of dollars to get this data. We realized that, oh my gosh, this data business is actually like oil business. It's like a crude oil, right? Without oil, there is no automotive. Without oil, there's no power business. Without oil, there's no civilization. Same thing. Without data, there is no Web 2 or 3 or whatever, the future. There's no future of technology without data going forward. So we said, okay, well, rather than Mind AI spending millions of dollars getting data, why don't we just crowdsource it? And then why don't we also pay these data workers with our crypto so that the payment becomes easier? For example, like if you join Mechanical Turk by Amazon, that's how Amazon's Alexa usually gets trained, because they get a lot of influx of data from Mechanical Turk. It's their crowdsourcing platform, but it's 100% Web 2. And we said, okay, why don't we build Web3 version of Mechanical Turk. That means we invite people and then have them contribute data sets, and then we give them our crypto as a payment. And then when we do that, then there's no credit card involved, there's no bank account involved, there's no sort of a currency exchange involved. It's just we know their wallet, and then all the provenance of the data collection, meaning who contributed which data, which goes to which sort of algorithm. We could track everything because everything is a blockchain. So that's what Synesis One is. It is Web3 data crowdsourcing platform for AI. And then so anyone can join us and they can train AI and they earn crypto. It's that simple. So so we begun that process of building Synesis One. I mean, the whole original white paper was written back in 2018. And then we thought about, going through back then ICO, and we felt that no, it's like just too scammy. Like, things didn't just feel right. So we waited a couple of years. We rewritten our white paper a couple of times. And then around 2020, we said, you know what, I think we're ready, because there's a thing called DeFi. And then a lot of people are doing yield farming, right? They're just putting money into one protocol to another, and then you take a difference between the two, and that's how you make money. Data contribution can be something similar to like yield farming, right? Because different data sets will have a different intrinsic value. For example, let's say the data that you contribute for medical business, and then data that you contribute for, let's say, pizza delivery business, because of the way this data is being paid for by AI company, they have a different intrinsic value. So the data yield farmers can trade between the two, or they could do quote unquote data yield farming. And so we decided to choose Solana as the main blockchain because it's a high performant blockchain. And then we felt the gas fee was sufficiently low. And then we also liked how Raj and then Anatoly's vision of like going blockchain with like sort of mobile. So that's the direction that we want to go. So let's choose Solana, and let's build build this technology. So we've been building for the past 2 years, and our system is now fully functional, but it's on DevNet. And then we have our token that was already listed back in the February last year, back in end of January this year on Huobi Global. And they are probably the wrong time to list the token, but we needed a token to be in circulation so that we could release our technology. So we sort of did that anyways, without thinking too much about where the value of the token would be in the public market. But long story short, so our system has been built for the past 2 years, and hopefully within end of this month, we should be able to release the mobile app version. And when I say mobile app, it's not a sort of website that is mobile friendly, but it's a fully mobile native app. Imagine Steppen, but we have a Steppen-like mobile app that if you use it, then you're naturally training our AI, and then you get paid. So that's what we have done. So we have a very dedicated engineers. We're very geographically dispersed, and we are very much focused on engineering. So a lot of us are engineers. And so so that's what the project is.
Absolutely fascinating here. I'm just going to take a second and close my mouth because my jaw has been way down on my desk this entire conversation. So many important takeaways. I think first of all, I just want to commend you guys for having that patience, considering you had your first white paper written in 2018. And you decided to have the patience and wait for several years to even just begin building, and then several years later to get to the point where you feel like you're ready to launch. I think that alone says massive things about your conviction to the work that you're doing. So yeah, absolute respect for going about it in that way. So we spoke beforehand, and I do have some questions here, but I think what I really want to ask you is, can you expand a little bit on how exactly that process works? So actually, you know what? Here, maybe I'll ask you this question here. One of the concepts that you do bring up is the play to earn model, or the play to earn, and then I also seen the train to earn model. Are those one and the same? Those are one and the same. Perfect. And this is the model that you use to actually create the high quality data that you're speaking about. Can you break this down for us and explain kind of exactly how it works?
Yeah. So you're thank you for bringing that up, because one of the challenges of like bunch of engineers building product, we're not savvy marketers. In fact, we don't care too much about marketing right now because a product needs to be built first. So the way we think about what our product should be versus how we explain that to the regular users, there's a bit of a gap. So that's why we used a few different phrases to describe what we're trying to do. But at its core, we consider play to earn and train to earn. It's almost like two sides of a coin, or two sides of the same fabric. And same fabric may have a slightly different variations, a top or bottom, and that's kind of what we are. But the reason why we use both phrases is because we view the data yield farming operation very similar to a typical MMO player. If you're into like let's say a Blizzard, sort of a World of Warcraft or Riot Games, what's the popular game?
Diablo, or
Diablos or what have you. But like, just imagine playing a massively multiplayer online games, and when you create a character, let's say you're playing WoW. When you start, then what you do is you go in and you do a lot of laborious hunting. You chase a lot of loot. You try to kill that monster, and then you get a bunch of drops, and you collect them, and you need to sufficiently supply your character and then your account with enough items before you could really just sort of do much more fun stuff. And so that mechanics is essentially more of a chore, but you package that as a playing. That's gameplay. But also, depending on how you approach your gameplay, it could also be work, because you could earn a bunch of in-game currency and you could sell it, and then you could make a lot of money off of it. So that's why we initially used the term play to earn, and then we realized that after running our open beta, we felt that, well, it's a play, but it's actually a little bit closer to more of a business application, because like a lot of our users just want to focus on making money, and then just focus on training our AI, as opposed to labeling that as more of a play to earn. So we decided to use the term train to earn in lieu of play to earn. So that's how the whole evolution of our terminology, trying to describe or accurately describe what we're trying to do. But the core idea is that you basically make money when you train AI, and training AI is deceptively fun activity because it is. Because it is. I probably spend at least 1 or 2 hours a day using our own app, and it's a good pastime. I very much enjoy what I call building process. That means I'm contributing utterances that trains our AI, and it's gotten to a point where I'm pretty good at it. And then it's like doing sort of a crossword puzzles, or sort of any kind of card game, if you're into that. So that's why we ultimately use train to earn, but the origin was very much a MMO where you're doing a lot of chores to accessorize your character or the account.
Wow, yeah, I love that. That really hits home. It's coming from a person who was playing World of Warcraft decades ago when they initially came out with it. That the initial grind that's involved to actually get to a place where you can really get into the game and profit from it is real. But you're right, it's it's really attractive for a lot of people. And you're right, it is a lot of fun as well. So that kind of sheds a little bit of light on kind of what that looks like for the data, kind of the data training and the train to earn model. Just you kind of touched on it. It's kind of like doing crossword puzzles or things like that. Just kind of wondering how accessible that process is. You know, like, is it something that everyone can do? Do you need any sort of training or background to be able to take part in that train to earn process, or what does that look like?
When you begin, absolutely zero training required, as long as you are English proficient. So obviously, like, you know, people have a different proficiency when it comes to their their native language. So people who are more proficient in English language, they are probably better at it. But you know, even for people who are, let's say, high school level English speaker, even let's say middle school, they should be able to easily train our AI. Now, when you join our ecosystem, there are actually 3 different levels of let's say, roles that you can play. And when you join, the only role that you can join is actually builder. And builder is sort of like contributor. They're just playing our DYF interface, and then you're basically registering or inputting all these data. And then once you do that for let's say number of iterations, and then if you pass our qualification exam, then you could be elevated into becoming validator. And validator gets much higher pay. It's a little more, let's say, higher grade type of work, because you're going to be reviewing and validating a lot of inputted data from builders. And it could be thousands of data entries that are coming in, and then it's your job to validate. But this whole validation process is very much a democratic. So it's not just the one person validating everything, but there's also a group of, or the company of validators using our software to validate, and they get paid. So that's that. And then once you become a certain level as a validator, then you could be upgraded into becoming an architect. If you're an architect, then what you're doing is you are actually working directly with AI companies to design campaign. So these campaigns can be, hey, there's a new chatbot or order entry system, the pay for by, let's say, Domino's Pizza, and then we need to create a certain data sets that is related to accepting orders for pepperoni pizza or certain brands of new pizza coming out. So the architect will then be commissioned to design specific campaign to get this data, and then they will be releasing that campaign into the system. The system will then work with the builders, and builders will put all the data, and the validators will validate this data, and then the final data will be coming through our system, and then it's going to go through a certain the further refinement process, and then once they pass, then it will go into our AI system. So it's an ecosystem of different players with the different roles and different missions, and they all have a different a payout ratio, and they also need to have a different skill set. And these skill sets are very much related to how quality of data, or we call that utterances, that you can contribute to our conversational AI.
Unreal. So it sounds like the implications of your software goes well beyond kind of just the DeFi crypto space. Really exciting. It really sounds like there's a lot of potential here for people to become very profitable working through your platform. And just if everyone is curious and wants to know more, the website Synesis.one outlines all this information beautifully. Actually, it's a really well-made website with a lot of very valuable insight or inside information there. So definitely worth checking out. So of course, we have our list of questions here, but now I'm kind of going right off the script,
Yep.
And I'm curious now how you're kind of what the next part of your project is, and how this all relates to investing in DeFi, and kind of how that ties in together. If you can maybe expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So it's imagine we sort of view our entire ecosystem basically self-governed. And what I mean by that is, let's take Mechanical Turk for example. I don't know if you guys know this, but like if you use Alexa using your the Amazon, the Dot or their conversation AI system, majority of their conversational data sets actually have been crowdsourced and using this platform called Mechanical Turk. Now they generalized it, and then they're collecting and buying and selling different types of AI data sets between buyers and sellers. It is arguably one of the oldest and then one of the more popular ones. And they have about 500,000 qualified and registered users, which is quite a lot. And probably that division is worth billions of dollars for Amazon. There's another company called Scale.ai, which supplies data sets for Open.ai, Teslas and Samsungs, and there are a lot of different types of AI data sets being demanded by the industry. And so that company is worth about 7.5 billion as of very last round of investment. And all they do is collecting data. And they probably have, I would argue that maybe somewhere between tens of thousands to maybe 100,000 plus users, but they're very centralized. So they run their operation like a university program, right? You have to be admitted, and then you have to go through their training program, and then you are on their payroll. So it's not really decentralized in a way. And then there's a hodgepodge, bunch of other half dozen systems out there. So I would argue that the whole industry today is worth probably 20, 30 billion. And it's all centralized. And we are the very first decentralized Web3 platform where anybody with the Phantom wallet can come, connect their wallet, and then they can earn crypto by trading AI. So our next step is let's make that system really well run, like a well-oiled machine that anyone can just fluidly come and then find interesting gigs or jobs, what have you, and then they can make, a couple $100 easily per week, and maybe they can even be full time. So this is a new kind of digital work theme, and so that's our step one. And the step two is as they earn our SNS token, most of them will probably start liquidating, our token that they receive as a way to, pay bills, right? But at some point they're going to start realizing, oh my gosh, there's tens of thousands of me or people like me using this system, and there's a lot of good utility for this SNS token. So maybe, liquidating it right out of the gate, maybe I could keep maybe half of it and then sell the other half for liquidation purpose. And so then people will start to hoard, this SNS token. Now we have our own NFT called Canon NFTs, and these NFTs are designed to be a little shard of all the data that we're collecting. So right now, all of our data is in natural language, and we have been selling our Canon NFT, and each NFT has their own unique word. And every time that particular word is being accessed by Mind AI, they actually receive what we call passive income. And this passive income, or the payout ratio, is 100% correlated to how often that particular word contained in Canon NFT is being used. So we are issuing 10,000 NFTs, and it's almost like it's a 10,000 little pieces of our overall collective data utility database that we're building. So what we would like to build is as these let's say what I call data workers sort of accumulate their SNS, we also want them to collect these Canon NFT as a way to further supercharge their income. Because when you do these training AI, that's honest labor, where you put in your honest labor and then you get paid. But if you own Canon NFT, you could be very lucky, because if you happen to own very well utilized words like, let's say, love or company or mountain versus less frequently used words, then your passive income ability becomes much higher. So you start accumulating these Canon NFTs, like owning stocks or even corporate bond that gives you monthly coupon payment. Same deal. So as our protocol generates income, because more people start to come and train our AI, the AI companies will pay for this data, and vast majority of their payment goes straight to the workers, but we'll take maybe roughly about 5% platform fee that comes into our protocol treasury. That money will then be distributed to our Canon holders as a passive income. So the ecosystem players will be able to make money through active income generating activities and also passive income generating activities like owning right type of Canon NFTs. So we've already built all the underlying technology. We just gotta make sure that everything kind of work together in harmony. So by end of this year, we will have our mobile app called Workspace, which has all the data yield farming, the components. And then as a data yield farmers, they're gonna actually have to get Canon NFT to be able to liquidate a lot of their earnings. So like all of these things will start to kick in. So I'm hoping that in sometime in 2023, all of these things will be out, and then see hopefully tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people using our system and earn money.
Fascinating stuff. Really, really interesting. And thank you for bringing up the NFTs. That was definitely one of the questions I wanted to ask you about how that fits into the picture as well. Before we get too far past that, can you give us any information on when you guys are minting, what that's going to look like? It's important that we get that information out. So I'd love to give you the opportunity to share that with us.
Yeah, so the mint, we pre-sold about 2,500 of them a while ago. So there are many people owning some of that. The vast majority will be minted when people download our workspace, and then when they want to actually start training our AI. You could actually train AI for free, and then you will earn our crypto no matter what. It's just that when you try to take those money out, you won't be able to do that unless you have Canon NFT. So the idea is that you will earn enough SNS where you could just use that SNS to purchase Canon NFT. Once you have it, then you can start generating your passive income. So all of those, the Canon NFT sales will happen inside the app. So it's sort of like a step-in situation where you need a sneaker to move to earn. Same thing in a way. If you want to earn crypto by training our AI, ultimately you're going to have to own a word, or you're going to have a Canon NFT to liquidate. And so hopefully by end of November, we will have our workspace going live on our app store. It's going to start with the Android version for Saga phone, and then so that's when people should be able to purchase one. In fact, if you want to buy Canon NFT, you could do that right now by going to canon.exchange, Canon with the KANON.exchange, and you could purchase them. You could go to Magic Eden, and I think there are maybe like 200-300 Canon NFTs out there. The average price maybe 5 to 6 sol. So you could also purchase them now if you want.
Got you. Perfect. Yeah, I'm actually on your website now. You guys have actually created your own exchange here.
We did.
In order to facilitate this.
Yeah. So and this is the stuff that like average projects would not even try to do because it's not easy. But we decided to build our own because there's a lot of features and functionalities that we wanted to implement, but we couldn't do that by using third party, the marketplace. So because we built Canon Exchange already, when we're going live with our mobile app, it's a mobile app, but inside we're actually calling our Canon Exchange software. So that's why we're able to launch our mobile app much more quickly because we already built our own marketplace in the past.
Makes a ton of sense. No, I commend you guys for taking that extra step and going above and beyond and creating your own entire marketplace. That's outstanding. And also just looking at your NFTs, they're gorgeous, and I love the concept of including that keyword that you can actually monetize and make that passive income. That's what a fascinating concept. It's really interesting as well how you can actually see on the website how some of them the holder is charging in Solana, and some of them are charging in the SNS token. Yeah, no, it's amazing to see the amount of work that you've put into this. I think that brings us to a pretty good segue. Just a little bit more about the financials behind your company. Can you talk to us a little bit about the composition of retail versus institutional investors in your work? And maybe you kind of touched on it earlier, but if you're feeling like talking a little bit more about how you raised the initial seed money for your project. Oh, I think we're having some technical difficulties here. One quick second. Hey, Josh, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, so let me start with how I raised seed capital. So we raised almost 10 million, about 9.5 to be exact, and the very first million actually came from the shareholders of Mind AI. So they provided initial seed capital so that we could start building while raising our capital. So that the first seed really came through January, February of 2021. And then we studied a few experiments. In fact, at the time, we weren't very sure whether we would use Solana. We were thinking about maybe using BSC, but BSC had certain centralization issues, and so we just went back and forth. And also, our team was not quite ready, so we went through a few sort of iterations of building and then letting go of people and then rebuilding and letting go of people, and that as you know in a bull market is a very difficult and expensive process, but we had to go through the process. So while we're doing that, then we were also raising money as well. So we did from pre-seed to seed, and then let's say pre-public, all in course of let's say 12 months time. And during which time, I mean, it was entirety of 2021. So as you could see, I mean, it was a top of the bull market. So things were just moving super fast, and so I was talking to a lot of investors, and so that's that. And so in terms of our composition between retail and institutionals, at this point, we're mostly institutionals. But when I say institutionals, these are somewhat institutionalized crypto native VCs. So there's no equity involved. These are all tokens. And in fact, maybe with the exception of 2, 3, I never actually met them in person. So it was all virtual because we were at the tail end of the pandemic lockdown. So it was just a really interesting time to raise money and then have those guys put a lot of trust in us. So I would say at this point, we went through 2 launch pads. One was Star Launch, and the second was Soul Starters. So those two launch pads provided mostly the retail, and that's, I would say, less than 5% of our total token supply. And then I think pretty close to 15-18% of our total supply went to pre-sale, what I call crypto native VCs. And and I, to raise the money, I think I was on the phone for, last time I checked, it was like 375 calls. And so it was a lot of calls. I was constantly on the phone for many, many months.
Unreal, my friend. Wow. Now, talk about putting in the hours.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, not only have you created this amazing AI software for data farming, you created your own marketplace, you've raised all of this seed money. Um, it's just outstanding. And I think another thing that you guys have done that we haven't spoke about yet is created another a game, a Quantum Noesis. We haven't even talked on that. And just looking on your website and checking out the preview from it, it looks amazingly detailed and complex. Yeah, I'm curious to know how does that fit into your vision and to your trajectory?
Yeah, so that was a super interesting endeavor for us, and in a nutshell, it was more of an experiment, and the experiment was this, and also because of Quantum Noesis, and we want to release our first application in form of games. That's why we needed to have our tokens in circulation. So that's another reason why we somewhat in haste listed our token back in January 2021. In retrospect, I mean, it was a perfectly wrong time to go public, but we made more of a product decision. So we said, we know that token price will get crushed, but eventually we're going to turn it around because we believe in our product. So why don't we just go ahead and list the token now? So that was a kind of sort of reason why we went a little bit early on token listing. But in terms of Quantum Oasis, so after token got listed, then we had our SNS token in circulation. We also sold about 25% of our Canon NFTs. And the requirements for our gameplay was actually staking SNS token and also Canon NFTs. So, and these NFTs and our fungible tokens were essential part of the gameplay. But the way we designed our game was it's not a regular type of very fluid sort of a console or a PC style games, but it's a comic book, and so there's a deep immersive story, and then as if it's sort of going through graphic or digital graphic novel, and as you go through chapter by chapter, there's a puzzle embedded in each chapter. And there are a total of 35 chapters with many, many types of games. And all of these games require use of our Canon NFTs and SNS token. So we went into this direction because we're dealing with training our AI that is conversational. Like our AI is highly linguistic. It's not a machine learning or deep learning type of statistical number crunching type of AI, but we're dealing with the natural language. So by the virtue of that, it's very literary driven. So we wanted it to provide certain entertainment for our data eel farmers. So as they train our AI, they could also go through this digital graphic novel, so that there's a different type of engagement. They could perhaps even spend some of the earnings that they have, or whatever the winnings that they have from solving the puzzle game that can then liquidate for their earnings and vice versa. So it was a fairly expensive endeavor that we did. We learned tremendous amount of insights as to how to let's say, provide a gaming experience, but at the same time, we engage these digital workers who could be consumers, or also they could help provide a lot of inputs for the future games and so on and so forth. So we launched the game. I think it was like April, and then we had roughly about a little over 4 months, the sort of campaign. And then because this is a graphic novel, like, if you read through the whole thing, then you're done with the book. So that's why we sort of decided to do it in a very sort of limited time. So that part is over, and we're thinking now big in terms of launching different types of games. And as we expand our ecosystem with these digital workers who's joining us in training AI and make money, we want them to not just kind of waste the money in somewhere else, but continue to spend it in other type of entertainment that we'll be providing to them. So we do have a few games in production, which will be coming out. So there are a lot of things happening in our ecosystem.
That's awesome, and that kind of gets into my next question here. So can you kind of just give us a brief idea on anyone who's listening right now or who will be listening to this in the future? What steps do you recommend for them to just get started in this process, to get started in data farming, to get started in playing games? What would you recommend as a good next step?
Yeah, so the good next step is you could actually join our open beta by coming to Synesis.one. And this open beta will continue for the rest of the month. And you could come to our Telegram channel, or you could join our Discord server, and you'll find a lot of information about it. We have a few people earning really, really amazing money. I mean, like, it's kind of phenomenal. Like, as we're giving out our payouts, kind of surprising to see how much they're making. But so you could come and then join our beta service. So you could find out all this information on our website. Now, if you want to wait a little bit, then my suggestion is that you join our Telegram group or our Discord channel. You could find all this information on our website. Wait until we release our mobile app branded as Workspace. And it's a mobile native Android and also iOS mobile app that's going to be coming out. And you could download that app, and then you could basically play with it, and then you will be earning crypto, and then you'll be also by training AI.
Okay, right on. No, thank you very much for sharing that information. It sounds like it's nice to hear when projects have a lot of different ways that they can stay in touch with their members and their investors. And yeah, no, I definitely look forward to looking more into this and maybe checking out your beta here as well. Just being mindful of time, we've just crossed the hour mark here. I wanted to ask you before we see if there's anyone who wants to ask any questions or give you kind of the final departing words here. What does the future look like for Synesis One, and kind of what are the next big steps for you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, like, it's I guess the big step is just keep doing what we're doing, keep executing, because there's just so much building to do, and so like we always come back to our sort of the original kind of mindset, because we're not selling some flash in the pan type of quick NFT PFP type of stuff. We're actually building a fundamental technology which is not easy to build. So, and we got ways to go before we build everything. So, if anyone out there who is in crypto for the long haul and want to make a lot of money, not like in the next couple weeks, but maybe 10 to maybe 100 times your money over the next couple of years and grow with the community that will experience this entire unfolding of, that type of a huge upside, being sort of realized. I think you should join us because we just have a different vibe. Like we don't have pump and dump. We don't allow price discussion in our. In fact, it's not even me. I think it's the community. They don't want to talk about price because it's almost irrelevant. But rather, they want to talk about how is our AI doing? How is that new chatbot that we launched? How fluid is it in terms of conversation ability? Like stuff like that. I mean, so it's really truly almost like a builder's, mindset. It's like the newer version of MakerDAO in a way. We want makers, we want builders to join us and be part of the incredible sort of takeoff. So yeah, so that'll be my sort of parting words.
What a beautiful vibe. So different than kind of I don't know. I find there's quite the undertone of desperation in the market of people just hoping that things are going to turn around, hoping that projects are going to blow up. A lot of when moon conversation. It's really nice to hear that it was the community that kind of suggested that theme of no price discussion and all of that as well. It sounds like that really kind of takes a bit of that pressure off the team, the community as well, and really kind of sets the focus to that forward vision and all of that. So I really appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us today. As we're talking here, I just quickly happened to glance over at the charts of the market. It's interesting. We began the conversation talking about how the bear market has likely just begun, and I think there's a lot of pain ahead of us. And I've just noticed that after Jay Powell, the true move seems to have been illuminated, and we're definitely in a downward trend at the moment. But in saying that, it's what a perfect way to end our conversation about that perspective that your community does have, of having that hopeful builder's mindset of looking towards the future and actually making contributions towards the space instead of just being concerned about when you're going to make your next big flip. Before we end off here, we don't have a whole lot of people listening here today, but I would like to give the audience a chance to ask any questions. If anyone does have any questions, so feel free to raise your hand or submit a speaker request. I'd be happy to get you up here and you can ask your questions. And while we're waiting, Josh, I just want to thank you once again for taking the time and spending it with us today. Are there any topics that we've missed that you think are important that we touch on?
I think we're good.
Perfect. I agree. I was my hands were on the edge of my seat the entire time that we spoke. I really found this to be a fascinating and unique topic of discussion. So once again, I can't express my gratitude enough for having you join us today.
Awesome.
I don't think that we're having any questions, not completely surprising here, but if it works with you, I'll suggest let's wrap this up.
Okay. Thank you, Travis.
Perfect, Josh. Yes, thanks once again, and look forward to keeping in touch and just following your progress as a project in whole.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.